My name is IanXIlyana. I'm an environmentalist, LGBTQIA icon, a human rights activist, and a musician, kind of. But today I want to talk about my love for engineering, my love for the ability to create and transform a community, uplift it. I don't know Terrence Howard personally. But he recently made some statements that I feel I should probably speak about. He says that he wants to form a new civilization and his own form of Atlantis. And as much as people want to be dismissive of that, I have to remind them, is this America? Is this Western life what you want? Because it's not what I want. I was thinking earlier about how many young people dream about owning a Lamborghini. Nothing against the company, but that's what they dream about. They dream about owning a car like that. They don't dream about never needing a car. And that's evolution, I suppose. It's change. It's change to say that you understand what is going on in the world around you. In the world around you, there's not many places where you can drive a Lamborghini. Unless you live in the Italian countryside, there's not many places you can drive a Lamborghini like it's meant to be driven. You want to do 100 kilometers per hour, 200 kilometers per hour. You want to do turns that, just make you dizzy. Fine, but where are you going to do that? Because you can't do that in a city like LA. The minute you get on the highway, your Lamborghini is nothing more than a paperweight, because you'll be stuck there, just stuck in traffic. And I'm going to read some of these comments. Hey, how are you today? It's nice to see you today because I'm depressed. I'm sorry to hear that, Stacey. I'm depressed all the time, so I understand how that feels. The weight of it, the frustration because that's not you. Hi there, Juju baby. How's it going? Best edits, can I get mod? Okay, I'm gonna make Stacey's day, and Stacey can be a moderator. Hi there, Saffron. Hi there, ZMN72E. Hello there. Hi, Saffron. Hello there, everyone. I'm going to do a sing-along today. I just have to talk about this. I know I always say that, but this I really do, because even if you disagree with him as a person, you disagree with any of his ideas, don't you want to see something different? Don't you want something more? Because I know I do. Hi, Saffron. I'm all right. I just spoke with the VA again today, and I had to have them pinpoint paperwork that they've had for a year and they keep asking about, because if they ask about it, then they can delay, and then I can make a request and then they can delay that too. And it's just obvious that they just want to keep me here in America. They want to keep me here in California, and I don't want California. I don't want California. How many days can I say that in a row? I mean, the name of the podcast is I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway. Not because I 100% hate California. It's just I dislike the California that these people are giving me. The California that they're giving me right now is an overcrowded, overpopulated, underfunded, poorly maintained mess. I don't want that. I don't think most people who are sane want that either. But like I said in the beginning, everyone dreams of owning a Lamborghini, owning a big house. They don't think that, what do you really want? What do you really want? Because if you want a Lamborghini, you don't want to live in a city. You want to live in the countryside where the roads are hopefully maintained, but you have ample space to just run your car as you see fit. And the same thing with a house. I mean, you think you want a house, you think you want that, but deep down, you would rather travel. And if you'd rather travel, then what are you holding on to here? I mean, I have some figurines and like pop bobbleheads kind of things, and I started it and then I immediately stopped because I just said to myself, why am I trying to make LA more homey to me? It's not going to be more home-like if every day that I go outside, I have a huge PTSD trigger and I'm upset and depressed for a week afterwards. It's just not worth it. All right, let me read some of this. I just came to say hello. I have to get, okay. Thank you for coming, Stacy. Much love and respect for what you're going through. I know it's very, very difficult to have depression, so please speak to someone who you trust about that. And if you need be, make some changes in your life, because this is your life. And I want to start this podcast by saying that to people, to remind them that this is your life. What do you want? What do you want? Because if you are upset, if you're depressed, it's because you're not getting something that you need. So go out and get it. This Terrence Howard statement of his of, I want to be recognized for my science, I want to build Atlantis, I want to do this, I want to do that. Say yes. Say yes. Good evening. How are you doing? Watching live. Have a great day. Blessings. Hello, Linda. How are you? I'm all right. I'm trying to hold on together because I just another day with the Department of Veteran Affairs just lying to my face, lying to me over the phone, saying, we have a backlog. It's like, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care that you have a backlog. It's called just say yes. It's called just fucking say yes. And just approve and approve and approve and approve. Like, you shouldn't have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I know you want to be thorough, but there's being thorough and there's being an asshole about it. And the Department of Veteran Affairs, they're being an asshole about it. Because if I have my benefits, you know what I can do? I can say, this is private property. Do not cross into my property whatsoever. I'm struggling because if I have my benefits, I'm going to move, obviously. But if I don't have my benefits, I'm going to lose my housing either way, because I want to put an end to this attitude that the LACTA has of, and I agree, I'm being extremely childish and immature about it, but I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, so I don't really care what other people think. I care about my own personal feelings here. And my personal feelings say that no, I don't want a female in my apartment. I know that it's a quick inspection and, we have to do this to make sure that, your room is up to code and everything is like, my room wasn't built to code. My room was built so that when it rains inside my apartment and nobody fixes that. So you want to talk about code violations? Let's talk about the fact that it rains inside my apartment. But either way, I don't want that. I don't want that system. That system is lovely because if you're a veteran, you get your free rent and you can move to wherever you feel, wherever you feel. But you know what? I don't feel like moving into another one of these shanty towns, these poor neighborhoods that they say, oh, well, it's state of the art on the inside. It's like, I don't care if you have central air. I care more about the fact that if I have something delivered, it's stolen. If I want to go outside, I have people just jumping out at me. I have neighbors that want to talk to me. Things I just don't want. I just don't want. You want to talk to me over a hedge. As in, you have the property over there and I have my own personal space. Personal, private space. That's what I want. You doing some singing tonight? I am. I just, Saffron, I know that I meander and I talk about my own personal PTSD, but I really have no other outlet in order to do that. And I know that I'm literally videotaping myself whining, and I can go back and look at myself whining throughout several months at this point. But I would rather talk about how veterans are being treated than pretend that this is an issue just for myself. Be patient with me. I will get to it when I get to it. And thank you for the support. I know it's not easy, but there's just so much out there, so much technology. I started a previous podcast with the question of where are you going? When you get into your car, where are you going? Because if you tell me, I'm going to the movies, well, guess what? You have a movie theater. Everyone who says that they're going to the movies has a movie theater already in their own place of residence. You've got either a TV, you've got a cell phone, you've got a computer. You literally have a concession stand that you can trust the people who are running it because they're you. So nothing against the movie industry. I mean, you want people to go out and see it and see it again and invite other people and then tell them to go see it. And I know that that's how things have been done for the longest time. But that takes up traffic. That takes up traffic. And I don't understand why. And if you say, well, I want to go to, this favorite restaurant or this favorite bar, have you learned to cook? Do you want to try and learn that recipe that you love so much? Because as I said, I have a favorite restaurant here in Los Angeles. I really do love them. Absolutely. But one day, after way too many upsets of trying to do LA Metro, I just came to the epiphany of I know what I'm ordering. I know the flavors. I'm just going to make it myself. And I did, and it was delicious. I didn't exactly have the ambiance and the customer service that I received from this restaurant, but I also didn't have to subject myself to PTSD torture by Los Angeles. I didn't have to irradiate myself. The UV rating right now is less than its highest, but its highest was 7. Like, we're no longer in, you can just take a nice jaunt outside anymore. I'm gonna have to start doing weather reports for people because they don't talk about this in LA weather. In LA weather, they just say it is sunny. It's like, no, it's skin cancer. Let's call that what it is. So I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with the smog. And if I had a car, it would be one less car on the road, or one empty seat for someone to use public transportation for. And that's what I want to be supportive of Terrence Howard, because if he gets any kind of people, like what you need, 4 people or more, whatever. If he gets any kind of people together, he might be able to found at least a new town. And in that new town, with all of his, I want to do scientific advancement, good for you. But what if you started with, it's a small town already, do we still need cars? I always keep talking about Cupertino and the Google campus, and I say to myself, that's where we need to head. Not maybe, having giant corporation towns, but having towns where you just say, everything is here already. If I need something, I will just walk to it. And if I can't walk to it, I guess I don't need it, or I'll have it delivered. We are wasting too much energy, too much stress on having to be present for everything. Right now, I'm talking to people through a cell phone. I'm not doing this in front of a live studio audience. All of you people are using the internet. I'm using the internet in order to talk to you. I'm not there physically. We need to have a mindset of, there are people who still want that, and then there are people who don't. If you have a terrible boss and your boss stresses you out, what if that boss just emailed you? What if that boss, instead of being there physically, gave you a phone call? Modifications to your life. Some are huge, like saying you don't need cars anymore. But these are the things that we need to do, because people are still growing up thinking that cars are the future. Tesla tanked their stock, but that's just because people didn't like the CEO. I mean, if people don't like me, I don't really care too much. But that's what happened. It's not tanking because people said, well, I don't need your product. Why in the world do I need I mean, personally, I don't need a Tesla because I don't drive. And I want to live in a city, which is why I have change.org/you belong on Mars. I have that petition because I want the future, and the future is beyond cars. Once you go beyond cars, you have that awakening of this is my space, this is where I live, and outside of that are things that I can have brought to me. And yes, I think the government needs to start subsidizing these delivery fees and delivery wages and all that, because we need to get people off the roads off public transportation, get people back at home, back with their families, because and I said it several times, so I don't really feel too bad, but the families of Sandy Hook, they should have had the right to just homeschool their kids. And I know that's, what are you talking about? Everybody sends their kids to school. That's just what we do. Look what happened. Look what happened because parents said, I trust you. You're the American government. You cover the Board of Education. I trust you. I trust you with what's most precious. So while I go about slaving away, trying to make a few pennies, and I'm saving pennies on babysitting and hiring a in-home teacher, because I can't afford that. I'm middle class or low class. I can't afford that. So I'll send my kids to these daycare centers, which are schools. Schools are daycare centers. And whatever happens, happens. If they show up at 3 o'clock, great. And that is how America operates. Just, I give up control, I give up responsibility, and I do not buy that. I don't. I think the people of Sandy Hook want their kids back. I think the people of Sandy Hook would have rather have been annoyed by having their kids around them all the time and watch them grow up, rather than send them to schools where you don't know what's happening. I don't know if that's offensive to say, but where is that discussion? Because the president said we're going to dismantle the Department of Education. So he even sees that there's a problem. Go through some of these chats. I'm with you that they definitely need to say that on the weather. Oh my God, it's like you read my thoughts. Hi there, Georgia. Mac, what's up? Giving me live. Boopy. Hi, Snark. Thank you for the hugs. I'm all for homeschooling. Totally agree. Georgia, I'm at that point where even with the PTSD, I'm not looking to waste my time. I want a family. And if I am going to be stuck in America for the rest of my life, I refuse to put my kids through what I went through. What I went through was just a soul-sucking, soul-crushing, terrifying experience of American education. And I was just at the beginning of the Columbine era. Just at the beginning of that. And now people just don't care anymore. They don't care. Just like when I was going through threads and someone said, yeah, I just don't see how LA got over the LA fires. People got over Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook wasn't something that you said, no, we need a day of remembrance. It has to be a holiday. It has to be a national holiday. We need reform in these schools. We need reform in the homes. We need reform in our lifestyle. Because if your job is pulling you away from your family duties, if your job is pulling you away from being an active parent that says, no, my kids are where I know they are and I know that they're safe. How dare any American give up the right to know that their children are safe? For what? For pennies? You give up the right to know where your children are and that they're safe for pennies. They're not paying you enough to lose your children forever. So when Terrence Howard says, I'm gonna build Atlantis, who the fuck cares if he has at least a different plan for schools than what they're offering right now? Because what they're offering right now is chance. You want to roll the dice with your kids' lives? Because that's what the American education system is. Because if it isn't school shootings, it's teen pregnancy. If it isn't teen pregnancy, it's drugs. If it isn't drugs, it's horrible mental scarring because of all of the bullying and the things that they allow to go on there, right underneath the nose of administration. And thank you. I appreciate the compliment there, Kazea. Australia. Where are you from? I'm from America. I live in America. I'm very passionate and patriotic about living in America. I don't suffer fools, and I don't want to be a fool. And I do consider it foolish to say, I'm going to go off someplace and I don't know if I'm going to come back. And I'm going to say to my kids, I want you to go off to this place and I don't know if you're going to come back either. No. End this nonsense now. End it. Absolutely end it. I'm going to tell Americans what they don't want to hear. Either you take your kids to work with you, or you stay the fuck home. Stay home. If your job is an office job and you stare at a computer screen all day, you could stare at a computer screen and stare at your kids and say, finish your homework. All right, I'm going to be back in the den where I've set up my office. Now finish your homework. Be that better teacher, because that is the only guarantee that you have. And that isn't even guaranteed. Anything can go wrong there, but you know what? You're responsible for that. All right, let me read some of these comments. I'm sorry to hear that, Australia. I'm very sorry to hear that, but that's the exact reason why I speak about these kind of issues, because everybody wants to talk about gun violence as gun rights and the Second Amendment. Nobody wants to talk about, are you being a shitty parent? And I'm not saying the people in Sandy Hook were shitty parents. I'm just saying you bamboozled yourself into thinking that when you sent your kid out that door, that kid was going to come back guaranteed. Guaranteed. That is a lie. It's always been a lie. Anything could have happened. But now, thanks to what happened, no one will ever feel safe again. But if they don't feel safe, and if all these people who are saying, take the guns away, just no guns over a certain limit and blah, 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 these are also the same people who say, I'll send my kid to public school. No, I don't need metal detectors. I don't need any of that. No, I don't think we need to check the mental health of children, the mental health of people that visit schools. We don't need to check any of that. We don't need to have checkpoints on schools. No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do any of that. How can you be so permissive when young lives are at stake? I don't understand that. Okay, man, that sucks. It does. It's so sad that the world we live in, something needs to change. It happens all the time. That is why I'm in high school in the US, and it's really not as exaggerated as it sounds. Threats rarely ever happen, let alone the real thing. Then you're lucky. You're absolutely lucky. But you know what? It takes one bad time, one misfortune of luck. The people at Virginia Tech, they woke up, they went to class, they thought everything was fine. They didn't know. How could they know? But one time is enough. Do you read that in the comments? One time is enough. If one time globally was enough. The fact that it keeps happening means that people in your country, people in my country, we don't value children. We don't. We see them as accessories, just status symbols. We don't see them as precious. If we did, we would do something about this. Solve it overnight. Overnight. I have a petition, several petitions, but I do have the petition change.org save American students, change.org/save American students. That petition is specifically designed to say that we have to address the mental health of kids as they grow up. We have to try and ground and earth them as quickly as possible so that they learn compassion, that they learn community, that they learn empathy, because that can carry them throughout the rest of their lives as good citizens. Well, homeschool your kids if you wanna, but you've got to be committed to it. Absolutely. I live in Wales in the UK, so our school system is better, but I still worry when I send my daughter to school. You should worry, but you should also know. Georgia, if you have any doubt in your mind about the safety of your children, that means that you're a parent. I call myself daddy. I call myself daddy because I adopted California. I adopted my veteran community. I adopted the LGBTQ community, and I spread my wings around them, and I'm very, very protective. If I feel like there's something off, I speak on it. I give it voice. I have someone who spoke about being transgender and being catcalled and threatened for just walking down the street. And this person was brave, didn't really react, didn't really do anything. But afterwards, they were saying, I'm just shaking with rage. I'm shaking with rage. And I have to say, are you the only person who should be angry at that? Shouldn't we all be angry? Shouldn't we be angry that Any person cannot walk down the street and feel comfortable with who they are. I don't live in the UK, but I feel you're just being paranoid. Australia. Hi, Australia. Yes, I do. I'm very active in her school, as you should be. I mean, you should be speaking to teachers. You should be, speaking to other students. You should be speaking to your own kids, saying, what's going on in your school? Is there anything that you need to watch out for? Anything that makes you feel uncomfortable? Do you feel like you feel safe, or is anyone bothering you? Do you feel bothered? Do you have a healthy way of speaking about your issues and dealing with them appropriately? You just have to be involved. And in America, there's just so much pressure to provide, and so much pressure to meet certain status quotas that people feel like they need to have, that people lose sight of what is important. And I say this as a person who's trying to get my disability benefits, but it takes a lot of money to be able to say that you want to cut people out of your life, toxic people out of your life. Okay, Australia, I've seen the videos of fires in Australia. It's scary. I'm sorry about your finger there. Gotta be careful of that. Fire burns. Like, you need to know that. I'm gonna continue to be vocal about these kind of issues, but when there is a chance for anything new, anything different, it is very easy to be dismissive. I know that Georgia, lives in Wales, and I'm talking about an American issue here, but if you had the chance to say that you knew your neighbors, you trusted your neighbors, wouldn't you rather live in a town like that, where you could say definitively that you are more in control of what is going on in your own town? Because right now I live in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is attached to California, and California is attached to the United States. I live in a town where it's just lawless. I've been a victim of hate crimes twice. It's just not a good place. It's not a place that I want to raise my kids whatsoever. I don't want to raise them in America at all, because of everything that's going on, which is sad, because I have roots here. I do, but America is just teaching people to be lazy, complacent, and to give up their most precious things. I don't agree with that. You live in Los Angeles, that's crazy. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's even worse than the South. I lived in the South. I've thrived in the South. I wasn't just a transgender person. I was a transgender person free. I wore makeup. I wore girls' clothing if I felt like it. I could do as I see fit. I remember going out and no one said anything. No one cared. That's the difference between LA and the South. Those Southern people couldn't care less. It didn't faze them. I was more free living in Texas than I am in California, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, because people say LA is so liberal. It's like, not all of LA. Not all. I live in the most family friendly town thing that they could ever invent. It's a bunch of Latino Catholic people around me, and they really don't like LGBTQ anywhere near them. They really don't, which is so ridiculous, because here you are espousing a religion which isn't your own. You're not Italian. You really aren't. You're Spanish people mixed mostly with indigenous tribes. And for the most part, you're more indigenous than you are European Spanish. You just speak European Spanish. But because of all the years of repression and hatred, these people are just bigots. And I don't want to live anywhere near them. And because I don't live in an LGBTQ friendly neighborhood, I'm forced to change or just hide parts of myself, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with that at all. I'm an American citizen. I should wear whatever I feel like without fear of being gay bashed or having a transgender hate crime attack against me. All right. I'm gonna actually have to turn that up for a bit. I live in Kentucky. Hi, Cricket. Happy Friday. Hello there, Sock. Hello there, Tammy. I feel like schools should cancel drills because they teach you what to do in these situations, but I shouldn't be in those situations in the first place. That I actually agree with. If your school has to drill you on what to do during a school shooting, it means that they don't have a plan. They don't. And they're not doing enough. Because I mean, you can't control earthquakes or tornadoes. Who told you that? A plate shifting does happen, and it's what you do with that matters. I mean, they have earthquake resistant buildings, they have alerts that you can put in. There's something that you could do. And as far as tornadoes, there's always, you can move out of the path of it. And you can always seek shelter. That's what you're supposed to do in those situations. When it's a human issue like this, you need a human solution. And the human solution is you take responsibility for how you raise the people. You can't airbend or anything, but it's good if someone else can. If you live in Los Angeles, you've seen me airbend and earthbend. I do that on a continual basis. Los Angeles has tons of footage of me airbending. Oh, Lord. I'm famous for being an airbender. Absolutely famous for that. They called it like psycho hands or whatever, because I airbend with my hands. But that's just Los Angeles for you. All right. So, I mean, I could kick it, throw a rock, that cat's right. Thank you. I needed a little laugh there. I needed a little laugh. So thank you so much, everyone, for following this chat. Like I said, Terrence Howard is putting himself out there. He really is by saying that he wants to try something different. It takes 2 seconds to say, sure, why not? Go on, go do that over there. That's a healthy way to deal with someone being creative, someone trying something new, because you want that latitude, you want that option. Because when COVID ran through the entire country, there weren't any options. Everything shut down because people didn't know what to do. There was no plan, there was nothing. Brooklyn Joe, hi Ian, I hope you had a good week. Good to see you. Hello there, Brooklyn Joe. What's the plans for the weekend? I tell you what, I am considering this new game called The Altars. I'm going to try that. I still can't get it to run on my machine, which is just ridiculous. But I'm going to try this new city builder, IanXIlyana. It's been out for a while, but it's on sale, so I'm going to pick it up. So I'm going to do a bit of gaming. I have music out that came out recently. I have my Glory Be to Mankind that is out on Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon, all the big ones. Hi Ian, hope you had a good week. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone. And I love how everyone is so patient with me when I go on these long tirades, but I'm an American citizen. I have freedom of speech, freedom of press. And like I said, I'm a daddy. So I'm going to loudly chastise the naughty children of Washington and LA leadership that allow such wanton behavior as LA fires and shootings that happen here. There's shootings on public transit. It just makes me think, why do we have these elected people in power? Because they receive a paycheck to just make the city worse, not better. And same with the VA. I mean, I was talking to this man and over the phone, and I'm trying to express how I'm a veteran with PTSD from military sexual trauma and I need my benefits. And he's trying to be nice about it, but I'm just super ticked off because he's getting paid. He's absolutely getting paid to just pick up a phone and say, yeah, and you're in the development phase. I'm like, well, I've been in the development phase for a while now, and every Friday you cash a check and you say, you're in that development phase and I don't have anything. But you have a check over that. Which is why when President Trump says, I'm firing people at the VA, I say, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Because these people get paid to do the bare minimum. I speak at length about how they ask for records from one clinic that they already have. And they keep asking for it because if they ask for it, then they can delay and say, oh, well, we don't know where it is. Where is it? Do you know where it is? It's like, are you Dora the Explorer that you ask me where my documents are? It's like, I gave them to you already. You're just stalling. You're stalling because you want to keep me here in America. And I don't want to be here. I really should be in Europe. I really should be international because I'm an ambassador. I'm an ambassador for science. I should be international. I shouldn't be local. I shouldn't have to live in the Latino ghetto where I'm being a victim of hate crimes. I should live in a place where I can be free and acknowledge my transgender lifestyle. And for me, my transgender lifestyle is my own interpretation. Some people's interpretations are different, but I'm First Nation, Indigenous. I'm used to loose fitting clothes, robes, long dresses that just let your body move and breathe because we didn't really have need for pants when you're living in the jungle. It's in my blood that pants just feel weird. So I'm gonna wear what I feel is comfortable. I'm going to wear makeup if I want to. I mean, half the people you idolize, musicians, pop stars, just dancers, actors, they all wear makeup. Everybody wears makeup. The men wear makeup too. But somehow we just have it in our heads that men don't wear makeup. Men don't need that. Men do need that. Men do. Not all men. Some men are just naturally beautiful and naturally have everything going on. And if you have that, I am so jealous of you. So jealous. Yes, good on you for knowing what you want. Wear what you want. Nobody has any right to judge. That's my point exactly. If I'm not paying your bills, don't tell me what to do with my body. You don't have to tell me what I am. I decide what I am. And I will do as I see fit. But then I live in this kind of neighborhood and it's just, well, if I wear a dress, I could be assaulted, I could be killed over that. Because that's how Americans think. That's how Latino Americans think. No, I mean, you have white people who think that way too, but at a certain income level, they just don't give a shit either. They really don't. I'm surrounded by a lot of people who act so hateful but still call themselves religious. People forget that the Crusades are a holy crusade. More blood has been spilled in the name of God than in the name of, that girl had a pretty face. They say that Helen of Troy was so beautiful, she launched 1,000 ships. That may have been the case, but in the name of God, they slaughtered each other for centuries. Centuries. Crusades go on and go on and go on, and they still go on. So I don't want to live in this kind of situation, and I want my VA benefits so I can say, you know what? Keep your bigotry. Keep your bigotry in this Latino ghetto. Keep it. I'm going to go live in a house by myself, lock that door, and I'm going to do my own thing. If I want to wear a dress with makeup in my own place, in my own house, I'm going to do that. I don't have makeup on right now, but I don't feel comfortable living in America where I can't do that. And I'm sure that if I moved to Scotland, there'd be people who say, no, you can't do that here, you can't do that here. But if they got to know me, they wouldn't care that much. They'd probably get used to it a lot faster. Or guess what? I'd have a cottage and I'd live on my own estate. And what I do in my own estate is my own business. Private property. Cricket, That is exactly what I'm talking about. Men don't know what they're missing. Men don't know what they're missing because they've been conditioned to wear pants and think pants are manly. Pants are manly. It's like, no, pants are restriction. Pants are, are shackles upon you. Like, if you've ever been to a hotel and they give you the hotel robes or you just lounge around in a towel, you will know what freedom is. You will know what freedom is and what true wealth is. True wealth is the ability to wear expensive fabric on your body that just feels good and moves like you move. Feel the freedom. Like, if you don't want to wear makeup, fine, whatever. Try a robe. Try a robe. I'm not going to convince you to be transgender. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to educate most men of the freedom of less restrictive clothes. People talk about, these black people with the pants down, below the waist, whatever. They did it for several reasons, but the end result is they have freedom, they have airflow, they are able to move and enjoy their body and just be in touch with themselves and really own the fact that they're living and present in the moment. You go, Cricket, you go. CT, hello, hello. Because I highly recommend you go on YouTube. I think they probably do it, but there's a clip from High School High where two men with pants that are sagging try to go up some stairs, and they don't even make it like 2 or 3 steps, but they just roll all the way down. All the way down. And I laugh every single time because I'm thinking to myself, what is the worst thing that could happen? Is the worst thing that happened that you fell down the stairs or that you dropped the pants for like 2 seconds? We have it in our heads that our bodies are shameful, that we should be ashamed of our bodies, ashamed of our genitals. It's like, what the fuck? They belong to you, don't they? Be proud of what you have. It's that kind of level of shame which probably makes some of us transgender, because we're not allowed to appreciate the body that we have. We're taught that our bodies are shameful, that we should be embarrassed if you show your body. It's no. You should love to show your body because that means you're alive. It means you're sexy. Show a little skin, not too much, but show a little skin. Be proud of your body. I'm reading some of the comments, Paula. That is just funny. That is funny. Because you're asking for someone to pull them down at that point. I see white dudes wearing their pants like that at my school. Some dudes be walking like they're about to fall down. We didn't used to be this way. We really didn't. We used to live in societies where everyone wore a robe with just a bit of rope tied around it. We went about our days. You lifted it when you needed to, and when you didn't, it was covering you. Kept you out of the sun. You had more sun coverage. You didn't think to yourself, oh, but is it designer? Is it this? Is it that? You pretty much wore a burlap sack. Honestly, Paula, you read my mind. You read my mind because I really want to, I don't know what I do. I have this beautiful black dress, which I used to wear when I was dating my boyfriend because he wasn't exactly the best boyfriend, but he was super supportive at times. At times. He was supportive of me being transgender. So between the two of us, and he was also transgender, but he didn't really feel that comfortable. But I felt comfortable, so I would wear dresses around him and he would be fine. And we would walk out together and I would wear my dress and he would wear his outfit and we would match together. And it was so beautiful and glorious to just be able to move around in freedom. Freedom. I mean, we talk about freedom in this country, but if you can't even wear the clothes that you want to wear makeup if you want to wear it, then are you really living in a free country? I was going to bring this up earlier, but I was watching a review of the movie Electric State, which I am definitely going to get Netflix so I can watch this because there's a scene in there where, you know, the oppressor, the opposing team or whatever is holding a gun against someone and they don't even shoot. And then while they're waiting for whatever to happen, a giant refrigerator comes in and crashes into the opposing team. And of course, Angry Joe does the review, says, that's incredibly stupid. I don't know why you would do it that way. And I wish he was able to think on a meta level, of a level of sometimes stupid movies are trying to say something that's so cerebral that it'll go over your head sometimes because you don't expect that. You expect just someone to spoon feed you a plot or a theme. But what they were trying to say is that in America, there is this spirit of rebellion which dates all the way back to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and all of them. This spirit of, if you tax us and don't represent us, we will revolt. We will have insurrection against the crown. Somehow along the way, there were the 60s, the 70s, people were rebelling, 80s, everyone was punk rock and were rebelling. You had the Black Panther movement. People were trying. And at a certain point, people stopped. And Keziah, that's actually a fair question. Are you male to female or female to male? So I was born a male, and like I said, you know, everyone's transgender journey is different. My journey is, I'm leaning more towards non-binary, but I guess I kind of identify more as a female. I enjoy living a life more as a female. I'm not trying to be female. I'm 100% sure I am not genetically female, but I do feel more kinship with that, which is odd because I've been sexually abused by a female. And that just put me in a situation where I don't really feel that in touch with my masculinity, but I don't exactly seek out sisterhood either, if that makes any sense. Look, I'm not going to go for a sex change operation. I'm just going to live a life where outwardly I'm just going to be more open and free to explore what my gender expression is. Like, grow my hair out curly, you know, just wear dangly earrings, wear makeup if I feel like it, wear dresses if I feel like it. And that's as far as it goes for me. So I guess that makes me more non-binary, two-spirit than transgender, but I want to be supportive of my transgender community. So I do say I'm transgender. It's just that my definition of it is not something that requires the sex change operation. But yes, back to the electric state. Right now, people are saying Occupy Mars, Occupy Wall Street, and you know what they do? They do a sit-in. They do a sit-in. Because no one really wants to do a bloody revolution to make themselves be heard. Nobody does that anymore. Across America, you're not going to get a civil war. They did Captain America Civil War. That's as close as you get. Close as you get. People just aren't going to do that. So when you see something super stupid like a flying refrigerator, I want you to also think in your head that every time that you complain in America, every time that you do, I want you to think back to the last meal that you had. The last meal that you had in a situation where you knew you were upset, you knew that you were angry, but you still sat down and ate a meal. And then think that every time that you did that, someone just slapped you across the face and you said thank you. Because that is what it means to live in America under oppression. Keziah, my last meal was in school. I'm pretty much angry 24/7. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It might make sense to a person to just say, if I'm being punched in the face, I'll walk away. I'll walk away. But in America, people are being abused, people are being incarcerated, people are just upset and they're not being heard. But they'll still they'll still sit down, have a meal, and the next day they'll just start over again. There is no revolution. You can have a revolution if you think that way. Because every time that you think you want to leave, and this is what happens when I ask for my veteran benefits. I ask for my veteran benefits because the moment I have my veteran benefits, I'm out the door. I'm gone. I don't bother with any of this. I focus purely on my Mars research and getting my Nobel Prize for physics. Oh, Keziah, you can always ask questions. I appreciate you being in the chat because, like I say, I'm someone who has PTSD from military sexual trauma. I don't really speak to a lot of people. I'm extremely out of practice. And sometimes the things I say just may not make a lot of sense. But if you ask a question, I will try and answer it. You can't have a revolution if you buy into the abuse. LA Metro is out of control. I still got on LA Metro. Thank you, Keziah. I feel like I don't comprehend everything, but I still enjoy hearing your discussions. You're definitely like a gem in the crazy place that is YouTube Live, as weird as that sounds. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have to be honest. I have to be myself. And I have to speak about these issues. And as much as I dislike the entertainment industry. I appreciate how even the entertainment industry, they take moments where they say, Chris Pratt, you're a huge star. You don't have to do this movie. You've got money. You've got money, you've got fans, you've got a family, whatever. You don't have to do this movie. But if you do this movie, you'll be saying something that people need to hear. I think people need to hear that sometimes you just have to leave. You just have to leave. I think about abusive relationships that I've had. I had an abusive relationship in Texas. This lovely guy, this lovely Southern gentleman, nice guy, but he would rather see me hooked on drugs than just be happy with him without that. So I left because I said, I know that you love me. I know that you're trying to make me happy, but that wouldn't make me happy. So I left. And the same thing with my last boyfriend. He was a nice guy until he wasn't. And when he wasn't, I tried my best to try and fix the situation. It didn't work. So eventually I just said, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to continually pour something into a relationship where I'm being abused emotionally, physically. It's just not worth it. And then this movie, Electric State, comes out, and Chris Pratt is in this silly film, and people are just being very critical of it. But do they understand what is being said? I'm gonna actually, because of this movie, I'm gonna buy a Netflix subscription, because it might have been that the writer just wanted a gag. Just, haha, you think you're fighting with this, but let's be honest about it. If you live in America, you're not going to have a bloody revolution, because you would lose. We would all lose. They would call the National Guard, they would call the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and it would be the government versus the people. And when the government is against the people and it's a gunfight, even without all the gun laws in the world, they have training, they have experience, they've got personnel. You lose. You just lose. So they don't want to lose either. And it's bad PR to say that, yeah, we just gunned down all these people, because they disagreed with how the government was being run. They don't like to do that either. So instead of doing that, they have welfare programs, and they have the welfare program that you do to yourself. And that welfare program is, anytime that there is something that upsets you, no, it may just be me, but I'm going to speak as if it's a general. If I'm looking at the expanding waistband of my community, I don't think it's just me. But when things are bad, you go to your restaurant, you go to your refrigerator, you put some food on your table, and you eat your feelings. You eat them up. And then the next day, when you are abused again, you just go right back. You don't say to yourself, hey, stop abusing me. You don't say, I'll punch you back if you abuse me. or I'll leave if you abuse me. You don't say any of that. You just open your mouth, and instead of words coming out, you shove food in, or you shove alcohol or drugs down your throat instead of speaking up for yourself. So when this movie comes out and they inadvertently start this kind of conversation, I say, thank you. Thank you, Chris Pratt. Thank you, whoever else is in that film that I still have not seen. But if you start this level of conversation, then you did your job and you're worth every single penny that they paid you for it. Because this is a conversation that we need to have in America, where they say, you know, Americans are getting kind of fat. They really are. They're getting a bit thick. If you're saying that, but you don't understand why, that these people are eating their feelings instead of picking up guns or ballots or even candidacies for political office, that's a problem. That's a problem, because I don't want a bloody revolution. You don't want a bloody revolution. But we really are being abused. And then sometimes we're just abusing ourselves. Support this Terrence Howard person. Support him. Support him because he is at least saying, you know what, let's try something different. Whatever's going on right now, it's just not working out. It's not working out in our favor. Terrence Howard is a person of color. He had to grow up with his share of racism, his share of bullshit. America's not going to get any better. It isn't. You can have interracial marriage. You can have, you know, people of color in high positions that they never could have gotten before. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Because systemic racism is just in the DNA of America. It's who they are as people. And the only way to change that is to say, you know what, I guess we're not an American anymore. Nobody wants to say that. But Terrence Howard did. He was brave enough. I'm brave enough. I'm brave enough to say, I don't even think of myself as an Earth person, because I plan on moving to Mars and beyond. Change.org/you belong on Mars. Everything that was spoken about on this chat, gun violence, obesity, pollution, would you still have that if you lived in a brand new town where there was no immediate stress like you have on Earth? You don't have news channels feeding you a lot of bullshit. Thank you, Keziah. I appreciate it. Please subscribe and come back anytime. Like I say, I normally do sing-alongs. Sometimes I have to speak about issues of importance because I don't want to trivialize what it means to be an artist or a musician. When you have that gift of being connected to the universe and bringing down divine music, you also have to open your divine mouth and speak the truth to people. Thank you for the subscription, Keziah. Change.org/you belong on Mars. It's time to try something different. Try it. If it makes people go running back to American capitalism with both arms, great, at least you learned something. But there have been no glimmer of hope, not a single glimmer of hope for a long, long time. And I'm not saying Terrence Howard is that. Privet Juruk. Sergey, very nice to meet you. Да, я очень хорошо. Не люблю Los Angeles. But that's just my opinion on it. Anyway, thank you for coming in. I'm going to close this chat and then reopen it and just do a sing along. My name is IanXIlyana. This has been I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway. I will see you on the next podcast, which will be a sing along.